Welcome to another episode of Solutions Barabarani, a show that takes you away from controversy to sensible talks based on solutions. I'm your host, Elijah Mwangi. Now, it has been a long journey for the media industry, especially the mainstream. We've seen them move from the High Court to the Supreme Court, and now they seem to be determined to go to International Court of Intellectual Property in Paris, France. Whatever happens there, it remains to be a matter of wait and see. But what we know is that in some countries in Africa, there were some companies that had moved there during their time when they were struggling with the digital migration process. And the fact is that they failed terribly. Now, C.A.K. at this point, that is the Communication Authority of Kenya, seems to have the final word when it comes to the digital migration. And of course, the High Court, and rather the Supreme Court. Now, at this point, there is a great need to understand the entire digital migration process. Let's have a look at the long journey of the digital migration. The TV industry has experienced tremendous changes over time, from back in the days when owning a black and white Great Wall television set, leave alone a colored one, was rare. Poor reception made it difficult to follow one's favorite programs. In the late 1990s, many will remember local programs such as Tausi and Vitimbi, when Kenya Broadcasting Corporation seemed to enjoy a monopoly of its kind. Times have, however, changed. Improved reception, more channels, remote-controlled aerials, and the likes, but the global players and consumers still feel television viewing experience can be better. It all began 9 years ago when countries in Africa, the Middle East and Europe signed a treaty committing them to make a transition from analog to digital broadcasting in 6 years. The famous digital migration, now a reality in the present day. The International Telecommunications Union, which Kenya is a signatory to, in 2006 decided that every country has to move from analog to digital television by 2015.
Quite a number of benefits or advantages in migrating from analog to digital. One, of course, is the bandwidth. You would have so many people utilize. This is a resource. This is a natural resource owned by the country. So when you are migrating from analog to digital, you're using binary numbers, and you're able to expand your bandwidth. Number two is clarity of signals. The signals will be very clear. You see, when you're using these terrestrial signals, it is subject to interferences, maybe by weather or any embankments. So you find some places that they don't have very clear signals. And see, clarity to audience is very, very important. Then number two is maybe cost. In terms of costs, the cost will be lower. And then we are talking about, again, in terms of reach. You'll be able to reach a higher spectrum as opposed to the one we have currently.
The migration has faced a lot of challenges, among them unending court battles by media houses over what they term as an unfair tendering of the digital signal distribution. Kenya now risks falling behind its East African neighbors regarding its delayed digital migration efforts and could harm its reputation as a telecommunication leader in the region. Tanzania, being the first country in the mainland of sub-Saharan Africa to switch off its analog television signal, is a country other states in the region should learn from.
I think it is almost similar, the same story. There are a number of issues which cut across economic issues, there are issues of politics, there are social issues which the government must consider. And there are also other interests here and there by the private practitioners.
Kenya has had its better share of challenges in the switch-over process, owing to the fact that digital TV was earlier viewed as a luxury to the people, and the digital migration did not make much sense when it was first mentioned by the respective governments. However, with time, individuals have learned a lot about the process, and a good number has opened up to the upgrade.
I think it offers a very wide variety of channels. I can easily flip my TV and not just be restricted to 4 or 3, but now I have millions, and they offer different programs. There's one for mothers, there's one for farmers, it's just a lot.
The moment tumeingia digital, kuna vitu zingine mob sana tu na gain, as in unapata kuna mamovie, kuna balls, kuna vitu zingine mob sana zenye unapata saa zile umetoka analog. So wenye wako analog, ningewauliza tu wote, kama uko analog saa hii, decide to once utoke uingie digital.
Na vile nchi inaendelea, lazima tuingie kwa hii digital, sababu sasa usipoingia wewe utajikuta mwenyewe umebaki nyuma. Tusiwe kama watu wazee wa zamani. Unajua wazee wa zamani walikuwa wanachukua muda, lakini sasa maisha inabadilika.
If it diverts, it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing because you get exposure to the rest of the world, what the rest of the world is watching. Because if we just stay to our local stations, it's like you put yourself in a cocoon.
Also, digital migration will still help in marketing our country, in marketing our institutions in Kenya. Also, it will enable us connect to various countries, to various economic factors outside the country that will still attract more investors in our country.
Many Kenyans have been made to believe that digital migration means having to pay monthly fees to watch television. This is an argument that is attributed to lack of understanding on how digital TV operates. Dr. Bitange Ndemo, an ICT expert and a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, puts the matter into perspective.
What the providers are trying to do is to entice the people who watch TV, that they can actually get more out of this digital migration. What the migration means is that previously we had very few channels because the cost of deploying infrastructure was very expensive. Now anybody can actually create content and utilize the current channels, which are more. From one, you could get between 20 and 30 channels. And because of that, there will be more content. And the more content that you have, you can be able to take advantage of that. But ideally, there are channels which we call free to air. They are supposed to be free. If you just want to watch the current free to air channels, you shouldn't be paying. But what you are seeing is that because the setup is expensive, most of them would reduce the cost and ask you to pay small amount on every monthly basis until you get to cover the cost of that set-top box.
Kenya has recorded over 60% digital coverage, which subsides the analog signal with the recent switchover that saw some parts of Nairobi cross over as phase 1 of the migration. The digital migration frenzy has caused a lot of commotion coming from the top media houses in this country as they try to get into a market that is already dominated by other digital platforms. Now, two bodies have emerged. We have the Africa Digital Network and the Digital Broadcasters Association, where the latter think that now is time to go digital. Africa Digital Network still is of the opinion that the country needs more time to go digital. So what is the bone of contention and what are the issues being mentioned here? We are going to have an analysis as we seek answers to these questions after this short break. Keep it WTV.